Oh, a pen. We're going out there. Do you see that thing waving around in the breeze? That's my makeshift tent. And we're going out there to the garden to do some drawing because this is kind of a plein air April special. And I was doing plein air stuff anyway, but there's some sort of an online thing about April being plein air month. Anyway, there doesn't seem to be too many people doing it this year, but a few are. So I thought, yeah, let's bring that onto the live as well. And hang on, wait till I get the little pen I dropped because I'm wearing a body cam and I need this little pen because that pen helps me get at the buttons because when my camera is strapped in, I can't see all the buttons very well. So the camera work is going to be fairly terrible in some parts, but I'm going to try and move slowly, and that's going to be help. And look at it's different. It's all an experiment, and we have tea, so you know, tea fixes everything, and sketch pads and everything. All right, we'll see. Past the plant that I knocked over earlier and onto the magnificent back of the magnificent tent. Isn't it wonderful? And all my art supplies are in the art supply bucket. And I have a nice comfy seat. I have the other computer in there so that if I lose connectivity to the Wi-Fi, I can get back on handily enough. So it's saying I'm live now, so everything's looking very good. So I think we should start off with tea. And for anybody not familiar with my garden and this spot in particular, my cushion is making barking noises. It's not me. I'm sitting on a little hill and I'm facing the tree that has the bird feeder in it, and the birds are all very upset that I've got this tent apparatus going. We'll get up in a minute and I'll show you the very impressive tent from a different angle. I've been all morning setting up because the weather was lovely yesterday. I was out doing plein air yesterday in the garden, painting a flower that's in a pot over there, which I suppose I could have brought inside, but I thought it'd be nicer to paint outside. So I did a little short of that yesterday. But oh, it was lovely, and it was like I had my picnic blankie here and sitting on the picnic blankie, and it was lovely. Then it started to rain. It's Ireland, you get that. But I thought, yeah, I'll try it again tomorrow. And it was very windy this morning. That settled, and it was very rainy last night, and a bit rainy this morning. So that's why we need the tent. I just can't rely on just the blankie. But we'll just have a sip of tea before we do anything, and then we'll talk about what I plan to draw today. I'll have to get off the hill actually and walk around. This is the beauty of the body cam. If you can actually see anything, let me go on the other computer and see what it looks like on YouTube to see whether I'm moving too fast and kind of making everything very blurry, which I do sometimes when I'm outside. I did live streams outside last year a few times, and I noticed that about my camera. Um, but if I don't make any sudden moves, it then has time to focus, and I'll be sitting around drawing for a while. So this isn't just me talking at your live stream. So I'll hold the camera on this and see if it handles okay. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's not great. It's when I pan across the garden, it's not really going to handle the lighting great, and takes a few minutes to compensate and everything. So oh my goodness, it's trying to be sunny first. Isn't that lovely of it? That's definite sunshine. Look, shadows, sun. That's so nice of it. Wow. I don't know how long that will last, but we like that. I'm very impressed. Cheers to that. Cup of tea, everybody, if you're in the mood for tea. I don't see this lasting longer than an hour, though, because I don't know if the tent will last longer than an hour. I don't have that much confidence in it. The soil around this area is very, very soft, and part of the tent is a brolly. Do you want to see it? If I can extricate myself. Oh, hang on, I just pressed a button I didn't mean to press. Hang on. I got rid of that. Let me extricate myself from here. It won't be pretty, but the tent is pretty. So, oh no, I just got my behind wet because I got it off the blanket. Oh, see, staying dry is going to be the thing. There's the wonderful tent. Isn't it fab? Don't you just love it? And all the art material that's been in a bucket is for a good purpose. It could start lashing suddenly and become like a storm, because that happens here. So you have to be prepared for weather conditions changing suddenly. And I've got computerish things out here. So as well as keeping sketch pads and art materials dry and having to get them all inside if a big storm hits up, which it was last night, so it happened. That bird is getting out. He doesn't want me out here with a big weird tent thing near his tree. They think it's their garden now. They think I'm just there to deliver the food. So here's one area we might be painting over at the compost heap. We might be doing a bit of drawing there because there's this terribly interesting bush above it. And I'm forever practicing foliage, I know, but foliage is very important for plein air or any kind of, landscape stuff. And so is, I was concentrating on this yesterday. So is the kind of scrubbiness of intersections of all sorts of different plants. That's very important as well for plein air skill. So, that can be practiced all the time. Um, my pots are falling over here. And, just to paint the foliage or draw the foliage on one plant, I hope the wind isn't whipping up too much out here for you. We should be better when we're back in the tent, slightly protected. Not hugely, but slightly. Um, but getting different foliage. Look at the tangle of things going on there. For instance, all the different intersections of not just shapes but different colors, and it's just very busy. Everywhere you look is very busy. So that's a skill, isn't it? Not just being able to do kind of colors of branches and then tree boughs and things like that. There are all this range of skills with. Sorry, I hope you're not getting too. This is upside down because it's been so wet that if I put it the right way up, it gets all kind of mossy and everything. And that's bits of the tent. That's my summer sitting round chair. So let me get on the hill again, and I'll get my act together and get out some drawing things. Now I could get the picnic blanket and go over there. Well, I don't have to move the whole blanket. So I'm looking at this foliage over there, thinking, yeah, I think I can draw it from here because I can get the mass of the shape of the whole thing. And that's important, isn't it? If you're drawing trees or something, and this is a bush that's just run amok, one of those kind of bushes that grow very, very fast. It's actually outside my garden, but I cleared ivy and things from under it because I kind of liked it. And it's got huge now, but it's got sections in it like a tree, and I find that really interesting to draw. It has some variations in colors because there are blue greens as well as more yellowy greens in there. But I think it's primarily the drawing of it and the getting depth into it, because as each sort of section of that bush comes out of the shade really of the middle of the bush, it you've got to convey that depth through the tone and also to an extent the color. And I did say that that's what I was concentrating on this year, tone and color. And I think things have come along a little bit for me since doing the kind of thing I was doing last week in the last video upload. Color studies that are done with contrasting colors, complementary colors from different ends of the color wheel. So if you were interested in that and exploring that more, I'm wearing a body cam, but I'm kind of holding the thing as well. So I'll end up with a very stretchy body cam elastic. And I'll be lucky if I don't get a backache after this. But you are going to get vertigo because I'm going to spin around and get out the bucket, which is going to go back there to help hold up the tent. But these are, because I'm in the garden, I can bring more materials out with me. So this is the usual plein air drawing and painting materials I have, like things like the water brush are very handy, but I have extra brushes as well, and I have all sorts of, like, even an thing for pairing for sharpening my pencils, and an acrylic brush and things like that. So you know, I don't always have it quite that full, but sometimes I do when I go out. But like, you can indulge yourself more in the garden, see. The only thing is you tend to lose things in the grass if you leave the grass long like me. I'm using my small sketchbook because I have to, when I'm sitting here and I'm drawing something, I'll have to hand hold camera to tilt it up and then try and get this in focus as well, and you know, not move it out of shot. And so I got a lot on my plate apart from drawing today, but also I brought my paints out and have water. I'm actually right beside a water barrel here, so I could get water from that. But I have my jelly gouache, so that's what I'm going to use. But I wanted to show you, and I had run out of stock here, but I just ordered more of this. This Pebeo brand, I really like it. I was talking about that last week. They're good for refills, I think, for the Himi gouache that I use. They're a little bit drier. They're not really a jelly gouache, but when you put them in the deep pans, they can behave like one. So these are the primary colors. I hope you can hear me saying this because I'm further away, a little bit further away than I usually would be from the mic on the phone, and I'm competing with birds and things for noise wise. So give me feedback if anybody's watching and whether you can hear me or not. So these are your three primary colors, you see, and they have them marked as primaries, which is very handy. So primary yellow, magenta, and cyan blue are your primary colors. And other than black and white, if you wanted to have a go at it, this was trying to disappear off. You have to practically staple things down when you're outside on breezy days. So the breeze is picking up. So that's what we have. So don't let me forget my theme. However, so far, it's just a bad day. Even if I am sitting on a hill at a weird angle, I'm going to sit out further because, sorry, you're looking at my knee at the moment. This is, just think of this as an art film, you know, art house film. because unusual camera angles and everything. Um, I'm going to sit out here because it's not actually raining at the moment, so I can bring my tea out. I can, although the ground is wet, I have a little plastic padded cushion I can sit on. So, yeah, and I'll just commune with this big bush here for a minute to see what I have before I start drawing. And hopefully you can see that well as well. Right, so let's start drawing. And I'm going to try and keep this in the shot. Now, that should be all right, I think. I don't know, I think. It's a pity in a way that my little stool has a bar underneath it, because it'd be lovely to put that across my lap. I have a bamboo table, but the ground here is very unsteady. These are all plein air concerns, right? You're never really going to be 100% comfortable in plein air. Yesterday was the nearest that I got. Go and look at that short because it was very cozy doing that. Okay, so things I'm going to do here. I'm going to include the compost heap just because I'm very fond of it. And it's got some nice linear stuff in it. And helps. Oh no, maybe I should bring that down further. No, I'm not going to do the whole bush. If I did that to scale, I'm going to lose the top of that bush. Uh, but I'll get a bit of the edge of the bush in it. Okay, so this is another thing. Ooh, look, sunshine. It's very rare sunshine here. Irish people go very weird when the sun shines. Get very excited. And then usually I don't do it because I love the heat, but usually they go, I'm too hot, I'm dying. They go inside again after being all excited about the sun. Okay, so this, I'm getting better at doing this kind of foliage as well, I think. But the groupings and the tone of the groupings, I don't always do well. So, any opportunity I get to come out and sketch it, or sketch and paint, whatever. Don't always end up painting things. Sometimes it's just sketch. Um, I take the opportunity, and that's what I'm looking at. I'm at the edge. Let's bring it up again. I'm at this outer edge of the tree at the moment, looking at all the kind of sections, foliage sections in here, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to split it up into sections so that I can look at light and shade on it. I can look at the shape of each thing, isolate the shape, but I can also look at light and shade on it. So I got a few sort of big sections here. I'm looking to kind of travel down and do it like a jigsaw. Every time I speak, the birds give out to me more. What are you trying to convey to me, birds? What? Go away, is it? Our garden. Gotcha. Now, I don't really know if that's in focus. Oh, look, there's one of my dogs. You can go bird watching as well. You see them there? There are 4 of them. They're so beautiful. They're wild doves. I think they're called ring collar doves, something like that. Isn't it beautiful? They only started visiting this year, and I'm really excited about it. No, last year I had a pair last year, and now there are 4. He usually flies away when I come into the garden, but because I'm being quiet, you see, That's the other thing with plein air that I feel strongly about. That when you get little distractions like this, if they're nature distractions, that's not a bad thing because um, it's all feeding into your artistic senses. And, I did paint those doves last year. I want to do a lino cut of them actually. So you have to observe the same things fairly regularly to get a sense of how they move, uh, how they feel to you, and how you feel about them. And I really love the colors of these things. He's so gorgeous. And up from there in the tree, oh, he's popped back in. There's a few sparrows knocking around as well. He's looking at me, the dog is looking. We'll leave him there and we go back to a bit of drama. Where was I? So that was a lovely little interruption. I thought. So, I'm concentrating, but in a very relaxed kind of a way. Now, there's a bush over here as well, and I'm just doing some directional lines for that. I think my approach is going to be, I'm going to do a little bit of shading in pencil, and this is a wash pencil, so it's a watercolor pencil. So when I go over it with the gouache, this will create a few grey tones as well. It won't look as harsh, I don't think. It'll, the gouache will go over it happily enough. So it's a mixture of drawing and painting, and I love working like that. You get the best of both worlds because I love drawing, but I like doing. I love painting with gouaches. I love that set so much. It's been a huge boon to my oil painting as well because I can do studies. Oh, I forgot my tea. Scared the dull ball. Reaching for my tea. Now it's all very ramshackly here. And I'm going off into the side page because I can. And you see, I'm sort of, it's not really going to be like a finished painting, but I am thinking about composition while I'm doing it. There's no reason I shouldn't practice a bit of compositional skills as well. And you see all the foliage down here with grasses and things, which are these guys. There's a hillock thing there. And then in front of it, in this old vegetable bed, which has fallen apart a bit now, and there's ant colony in there, which will be waking up really soon. That'll be exciting. On my other channel, I do ant videos. Some of the videos I do are ant videos. I'm doing an art one over there at the moment, actually. If anybody likes sculptural stuff, you might vaguely be interested in that. The only thing is you might get sewing in with it because I'm working with two projects at the same time. But I'm doing papier mâché sculpture at the moment and had started that. So the channel is Scavop, capital SKAVOP, all one word, Scavop. And I just hit 600 subs over there and 10,000 views on the video. I can't believe it. But it wasn't the video with the papier mâché. That's the latest video. So if you want to see papier mâché work, I'm going to get a sketchbook going for that as well. But I'm probably not going to show that on this channel because it goes with the sculpture. And what I'm doing on this channel is mostly drawing and painting. So I don't want to mix up too much other stuff because some people are probably only over here for drawing or painting, see. So but it is like the papier mâché stuff is, for me, it feeds into my art practice, It's just a new thing I've taken up and I'm having so much fun with it. I'm doing that in the evenings. So there's the front vegetable bed. There's the next vegetable bed, and there's, I don't really have the wood in my place there. It actually comes out much further. Okay, so that's to generalize a lot. And this drawing was going to be about that bush, but like it's become about, because you look at the thing and you say, oh, I like this other thing going on. But still helps me place things, and I've got foliage going on here that I want to place. And I did a lot of this kind of thing last summer. Last summer I painted the bush that's on that side of the garden, just under the tree, in the summer, and I had a wonderful time doing that. Um, because my garden over the last few years, I think somebody else might think it looks really straggly and everything, but I think it's looking really nice because I like things on the verge of overgrowny looking, and great for painting. That was always the plan, that I wanted. It wasn't going to be a Monet job, but it was going to be a garden that I could have a good time drawing and painting in. And it's become that. I've got all these little areas in the garden that are kind of like hidey holes that I can't be seen from the road if I'm working away. Now that bit that I'm doing there, I have it in the wrong place for this. I'm going to move that stick that's basically the corner of the compost. And that's all very ramshackle because I started thinking about weaving something there and then decided that with the materials I had, which were just ordinary sticks that were from the last bit of trimming I did in the garden, that they would be very difficult to weave. So I just left a few ramshackly bits I had. But it's got a charm, I think. Now, so all up here in the compost heap, we've got sticks that are basically bits of blackberry brambles that are still dead, but are still very interesting. And then we have another foliage group. Now, I've been looking for this bit for ages because this is a dark shape in the middle of the foliage. And I finally found it. So, one of the places you could go if like me, you struggle with foliage sometimes, to look at them would be old engravings, because engravers had these ways of doing foliage that was so clever. It involved cross hatching like this, but to get your tonal things for a bit of shade, but then creating the pattern of the leaves within the thing in a way that wasn't too time consuming, but describes the thing very well. Um, so you'd pick up a few tricks from different people working like that. The wind's picking up again. I hope the sound isn't that terrible. But like we've got a picture. We're halfway there. It's halfway to being in a good live stream. And I have a few new subs as well. So welcome to you people, whoever you are. Thank you very much for subbing. And I hope you enjoy some of the content, even if it's all not hugely professionally filmed. We like to experiment around here. So you'll definitely see experimental sort of there. But it's not all about filming, it's about showing your art. But unfortunately, you do need some good camera skills for that sometimes. Now, I'm not going to concentrate on that bush too much. I'm just kind of suggesting that the type of foliage it has. This is such a lovely pencil to draw with this. It's soft but very black. Highly recommend this. And as I say, it's a watercolor. So I'm happy with the kind of feeling I have here. and some of the depth. So I'll be doing some drawing soon, but I just want to go a little bit further up into, I'll show you where I am now in the foliage, shall I? I am here. So I want to get up to about here in the foliage. I'm working my way around to see how they all intersect and then try and get out as well. You get lost. You sort of go, okay, I was here, and then you look up and you go, yeah, where is here again? The dark fish. I'm going by that dark fish. So I'm going up a bit further. There's the next dark fish. I'm looking for dark bits, and then I can look for the shapes of the green. And in some bits, I do have to indicate the leaves to get any sort of sense out of this picture. Oh, sorry, you're seeing more of my legs in the picture. Oh, oh no. I have to manage having a body cam on and pairing a pencil. Can I manage? These are fairly soft pencils. Um, Not a nightmare though. They don't break that off. So let me see. I do. I have a knife. And I'm not out in the countryside, so I don't have to worry too much about my pencil pairings. Um, but I suppose these are lead, don't they, these pencils? So in theory, I shouldn't really have it going into the soil. And when I'm out doing plein air anywhere, I make sure that I bring home everything I brought out. Same rules as camping, you know. You don't leave that behind. You know, that's just a bit of wood, but you try to have like those little zippy bags are great. Try to have stuff like that on you so that you can just transport stuff back. In my own garden, well, I just can have a big bucket with all my art materials in it, can't I? And I just to bring the big bucket back in, so that's handy. Round and give it a final pair. I like these things for just getting a bit of a point, I think, particularly for soft pencils, they're good. Okay, I'm probably yakking away and you probably can't hear anything, but that could be a mercy. You don't know. Now, so headed into another dark bit here. Trying to find the edge of this foliage here. And these are grasses that are on that little hillocky thing of the old vegetable bed on front, much further forward. But in a way, when you're looking at something, you're reading it just as a kind of a pattern across in one sense to make sense of it and forgetting um, distances sometimes, you know. And then you can swap back to looking at it in a different way and seeing distances as well. So this is another bit of the same color foliage sticking out. That's actually part of the same story, if you like, in my mind. Because when you're drawing or painting something, a story starts emerging. And I'm telling a little story about this garden. It's a kind of a story about wildness versus shrubs. I have holly in there somewhere as well. Holly is quite a challenge for me, but I'm just going to see it as a colour because that's what I said, didn't I? Colour and tones is what I want to work on this year, really. It's something I want to really concentrate on this year. Nobody could ever accuse me of not having a plan. It's hard to plan sometimes. Wow, I'm so glad I didn't abandon the idea of doing this because the weather was not good looking this morning. I thought I'm going to be blown away out here, and actually, instead, I'm outlining the bits that are lightest. Instead, we have the sun trying to. Now that probably looks like a bit of a mess. I understand. But you see, a lot of these kind of foliage things, they are kind of scraggly looking as well when you start looking at them. And it's really when you do bits like this, where you're drawing the kind of pattern of the leaf, that you start getting the sort of swing of it, of how the leaves are organized on the thing, which isn't always totally regular either, but has tends to have a general directional thing going for it. Like this one, the directional thing is that way, a linear thing that way that's just interrupted by roundy shapes, and then some of the leaves stick up, but they still follow that big directional thing, you know. But it can be challenging enough to do. Now, I had decided that that was the edge, so I'm not going to go to not so here. Um, I wasn't doing right up to the very top of the bush. I was finding the shelf that goes kind of underneath into the compost heap, the really interesting bit. So I'm going to start drawings or painting soon. I just want to put in, before I do, put in, there's a little, I'll just show it to you now. There's a little, I don't know how dark or light it, what I look behind me for a minute to see. You might be able to see it there. There's a little tree here. I can't really see it on the size of the screen very well. But you know, I want to put that in as part of my little story as well because it's visually interesting. On a different, it's a different shape from some of the things happening there, and is a kind of a anchor between this and this. They're points which are creating a relationship to each other. So as you're doing this, you're not thinking about just copying something. You're an artist. You're not a copyist. See? So you're trying to you're trying to create that story that's your little special, unique vision, say, of how you see. And this is way different from here, but I'm going to leave it there anyway. I got my distances wrong for this bit, but that's okay. It works okay there. And I also have some chicken wire. Used to be all chicken wire there, and I hate it. So I got things growing, little holly bush there. I grew from a tiny little slip. So I have all these things in the garden I really love because I grew them myself from little tiny bits and watched them come along over the years. Even a little fern that's there. I had to make sure I didn't run it over every time I cut the grass and carefully tipped around it and everything to try and encourage it to grow. Terrible at drawing them though, for some reason. Okay, so there is the holly bush, and that's kind of the furthest I'm going. I just wanted to get over there because I wanted to do some of the shadows of that foliage over there. And the wind is picking up, so look, that tree is blowing around like mad. So it's not staying still for me to draw it, but that's part of the fantastic experience. The fact that I love watching trees in the breeze. They're so beautiful. Look at that. See the way it moves? It's like a big giant moving sculpture. It's so beautiful. You could watch that for hours. But it's even nicer being out here drawing. Now, this bit here, sorry, I keep sliding up and you end up looking at more of my legs than you probably want. Um, this bit here is much lighter than foliage under. All right, I think we're ready for a bit of color. And I'm gonna put my little elastic band over here. I love these kind of sketch pads that have that elastic band because they're great for working outside. Okay, now oh no, I lost a brush already. That's the problem. They all roll off the table. I have an ant colony in there as well. That's why there's a big lump there. An ant colony under it. All the ants in the garden are asleep at the moment. Um, it has to hit about 20 degrees for them to come out. And it's not anywhere near that, even underground, where it might be warmer at the moment. But I would think sometime in April will come out, maybe end of April. I don't know. It's the first year I've actually kept ants, so. But I will be watching them in the garden to see what happens. Now that has the water in it already, so very handy, isn't it? That's Derwent as well. So I want a nice well, I don't know whether to start off with a light or a dark. Now, oh, I might try and do this in a limited palette. There's the cyan, there's the magenta, and there's the primary yellow. So we'll try that. Just needs a bit of water in it. And it looks a bit greenish because I was painting with it already and got other colors mixed up in it. So I guess we're going to start with some of the light color. That's actually a mid color we're starting with because the gray of the pencil is getting mixed in with it as well. But I'm going to use these like a watercolor first. Then work back in. And that's what's nice about these. Look at the lovely, some of the marks that are coming into this now aren't that gouache at all. They're the grayness of the pencil mixed in. And I think it creates nice quality when you're working fast, you know, that you can actually work with. Lovely for the midtones. It's kind of making the midtones. Now I'm going to do a real dark in there, and I'll come back and have a think about whether I'm happy with the color afterwards, because it's just a grey at the moment. And we got those darks in there as well. So a lot of the work that I did in the drawing is fairly handy. See those kind of marks? I think they're really exciting, fast brush marks. So, I want to leave some of that going on. I mean, you can work back into it with that pencil as well. So, it's a nice tool. And I have to say, I was dying for the weather to get better so I could get out here and do this. And because I just love doing it. Now, I'm going to dip in here and find another color. And even though I'm using a limited palette, I'm going to use black, and I'm going to make a brown with just red and black on top of the green, you see, because I had a green there already. Red and black on top of that makes a lovely brown. And I want it a little bit more watery because I'm doing it like a watercolor wash. There, look at that brown. I hope you can see that. It's probably sick of me saying, I hope you can see that. That's beautiful. And that is going to be lovely against the other brown we're going to put in a sec of ye olde compost heap. And it's quite a humble little subject, but it's so interesting when you start into it. Now, this yolk that nearly blew away is going to have its moment in the sun, so to speak. I'm going to tuck the plastic bag under my behind so it doesn't blow away. You have to do that with everything when you're out plein air, out in the field, as I say. And I'm going to make this section just a little bit more greeny because it's going under the bush a bit. So that's slightly in depth. That's maybe a little bit warmer than I want in some sections. So I'm really thinking about my color these days. So I'm wanting to get it right. So I was in the wrong blue there. Let's get more blue. And I have more dashes now of a blue in the shade. And then I'm going right down into the black in here. So I'm going to lose some of the drawing, but only in tiny bits. And I'm sort of drawing with that black as well. So I'm leaving some of the brown. And again, just finding the edges of those isolated bits. Now, I do have to do a little bit of color work. Sorry, you're probably shaking around every time I shake the brush. I forgot you were strapped on. You're strapped on to me. It's weird, isn't it? Now, you can go, you can even go, if I get the yellow involved, you can even go more into the pinkish direction. I'll show you what I mean. I come up with a bit of white. So I have red, yellow, and I'm up into that. And in fact, I let a bit of green go in there, which is okay. I don't mind. That kind of color, look. You do get like nice pinks in a garden. That could be a bit brighter, but that's basically a pinky brown is the color of that composty plankage, if you like. Maybe a tiny tad more yellow, but I'm still working with just the three colors. And then I've gone a little bit darker for the stuff that's in the compost. There is a little tiny hint of something red, but that's the color I'm looking for there. A browny, orangey-ish red. I wanted to get that in before I put in the dark, because I'll lose it. These are just bits coming out of compost, and I can't really use that color other places except little tiny touches up there. Sorry, I'm just trying to clean off my brush. Okay, there is actually one other place I can use that. Sometimes I do this, I travel around the picture looking for places I can use the color. I can use it up here in the veggie bed bit. And then I can go in and get a much paler, deader yellow. Birds are fighting again. It's all action, isn't it? The colour in this gouache tends to settle a little bit. So this is why I'm always going back over it with the pale colour. Try and encourage it to come up to the colour I'm actually trying to get. Oh, I nearly did the tea thing. I nearly did the dip in my brush in the tea thing. Now, let me just generalize about, again, I'm still in just those primary colors, cyan, magenta, and cyan, magenta, and primary yellow. And then black if I want to darken, or the complementary color, could do that. I keep going to reach for other colors and then forget. And, to do this bit, I have to do it in relation to everything else. So this is why I'm not getting stuck on just working in that section. So I want a much brighter yellow for the grass, because look at the grass. Stunning, isn't it? How bright it is. So that's just primary yellow and cyan. And you get that lovely, or you could go slightly deeper. I want some of that darker because the compost is pile is headed there. Now we're going to get a bit more while we have this out. We'll just get a bit more going and work our way across, and then go a little bit more blue on some of the stuff that's in the foreground, which is where are they now? Those that curve or scraggy bits there and there. Because everything's all, there's a lot of green there, but it isn't all the same green. There are a couple of different shades. I'm trying to get rid of a little bit of cream on the paper. Now I want to get in here with the dark green, but I want to see what color that pencil goes before I do it, and it does actually need more. What do you think of the body cam? Is it working for you? If you want to let me know whether it's just very distracting, you can always tell me in the comments afterwards, but I'll probably know by the look of it myself whether it's just awful or whether it's working. We'll find out, as they say, soon enough. Now, you can get a deep mossy green just with black, but you can make it a bluer green if you want as well, which is what I was looking for. I wanted to go that kind of, that dark. And I'm not looking for like a finished painting with perfection here. I'm looking to you know, learn something about that foliage. Don't know why I'm having trouble getting the water to come out of this today. Maybe some of the paint has kind of blocked it up. It might have needed a better washing than I gave it or something. Tends to look a little bit weedy until you start working some of the darker stuff in. And sometimes you have to wait for bits to dry before you can get it the color you want as well. This dried a little bit grey for my liking. But I also want a brown in there, so yellow and red and black. So I'm liking that now. I want to go shade towards blue here. And then in the one above it, there's that bluey leaf, but there's also more white. No, I need more white. I have it a bit too grey there. That kind of a blue, maybe. Even more white, I think. Wait, these little midges now are starting up this time of year, and come May, I discovered last year from heading out to paint at 9 in the morning, they make life inconvenient from about 9 a.m. to, well, about 8 a.m. maybe, to about 10 or 11 a.m. And then they go away for a while, have their lunch or something somewhere in some little bistro for midges, and then wait around and then don't come out again till the evening. They mustn't like the heat at the middle of the day, but they're tiny, 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 minuscule little things. But this bite they have, it's like somebody sticking a hot needle in it. It's awful. The only things I hate more are horseflies, which you can't tell when they're about to bite you because you can't feel them on your skin. They look like an ordinary fly, really, but you can't tell they're on your skin. And then you're bitten and everything, and you don't realize. And then you get mad, itchy. They're the itchiest thing in the whole entire universe. I might be exaggerating slightly, but not by very much. Now, I'm going to fill in some sky color just because I can. Oh, I made a far too blue though, didn't I? Because it's not one of those skies that's a perfect blue sky. And in fact, it's not a green sky either, as I have depicted in my picture. That's just what happened from this happening. But you know, you put a blue on over that, and it's nice. And actually, these kind of when you're doing these kind of pictures, you might realize that you might actually need two blues. You know, that ultramarine or cobalt might be handy because this is quite a yellowy blue. So to make it bluer than that is quite difficult. Cyan is a yellowy blue, and that's why even people who use a limited palette, often have a bluer blue in their palette. So I mean, I'll do it here just to show you, even though I said I would do this in a limited palette. So consider this cheating bit. And because it's a dirty palette, I got more than that going on there. It's now gone a violetty colour. But you see, it is a kind of more violetty blue. See, that's a different kind of experience to the cyan, which keeps wanting to go towards the yellow end of things. Sorry, I'm trying to get it lightened up again. It's always a challenge for getting it whiter. Okay, so where was I on the foliage? I think it looks nice so far, actually. I do want to get this indicated better than, which is the depths of compost heap. And I've just lost the red bit, but I won't worry about it. I don't know what that red thing was in the compost to start with. So I had some of that bush coming up, and I did have a sort of a bluer thing happening with, no, it's darker than that actually. Keep having to modify it with that bush as it was sort of further away. Now, anywhere else I can use this color, I think I can use it in there. So I'm going around the whole thing looking for where is that color, where else is that color, and that can help unify a painting, as can using the limited palette of just those primary colors and black and white. Now, what have I got going on here? I have a shelf of bright green there, which I want to get to. I can feel a few drops of rain now, but it's fairly harmless at the moment. And I had the setup so that I could just disappear in if I wanted to. So if I was doing more finished painting, I might float around in there for a while and do more structure in those leaves, but that's not really what I care about today, so it's not going to happen. Here's our dove back. It was a kerfuffle. No. Oh no, I lost you there for a sec. I think we're back. It just does that anyway. Sometimes, whether I'm inside or outside when I'm doing a live stream, sometimes the screen goes black for a second. I don't know why. Just sort of loses, I don't know, broadband width or something. Now, I want to find my pale bit because I'm looking for contrasts in tone and contrasts in color. Okay, that's what I'm working on. And practicing, practicing my little foliagey tricks as well. Now, I would have liked that greener, and this is gouache, so I can go greener without too big a problem, I think, by putting on thicker paint. So that could be that bit lighter. I see you looking at me, Bertie. You're going, ooh, dare I eat on front of her, or is she going to attack me? I'm not a pussy. I'm going to attack. He's sort of eating a little nibble and then looking at me like, ooh. He knows he's being very daring. Sorry, when you've done a dark bit and then you're doing a lighter bit on top of it, it just takes a like that. Now, I should really be more sensible and have two brushes going, one with the darker colour loaded on it and one with the lighter colour, but I'm so nearly finished now. Now I'm going to do a warmer brown in there, so we got that by going with the red. And black. And yellow makes it browner. So, I mean, the colours are subtle, but it's a colourful enough picture because the browns really warm everything up quite a bit. Sorry, I think I shook you around again. I did have more brushes like this thing, but I ended up not using them very much for the sake of speed. Really, this is speedy for me. Now we've got that color again over here. The pale. And it did surprise me when I started messing around with limited palettes that you could get like basically an ochre color from very limited resources. I want it even a bit more ochre than that, maybe. Things are actually drying out of the palette. I can't believe my luck. You know, normally I'm hanging around ages waiting for something to dry, but it's actually not that damp a day. Uh, I didn't even I ended up not even pouring out water for this. I don't want to be lazy at the moment, but yet I'm getting on okay with my water brush because it's making me work faster, you know. So maybe I should stick with what's making me work faster. I can go a bit more green on that. And maybe you might find it a bit annoying that I'm hopping around to different parts of the picture. But for me, it's helping me to unify the whole picture to be able to look for the same colors in different spots, if you see what I mean. And I hope you enjoyed being outside. We've got grass there. I forgot to rake up the grass actually, and I keep tracking grass into the house now. It's not worth raking it um, when it's just rained because you can't rake it up properly. Trying to get rid of some of the white. And the other thing I was sort of waiting for was for the weather to get a bit warmer to come out because if I spent this much time sitting around on my behind in the garden um, last month, I would be absolutely frozen when I went back in, and you know your hands don't work and everything when you're doing that kind of thing. So it can be a bit miserable, and then you also tend to get high winds as well. We got a lot of wind and a lot of rain in March, so it wasn't really suitable for doing that kind of thing. Just want to suggest stuff in the foreground. So sorry if I seem to be flipping around a bit. Woo. Oh, there was a moment there I thought that tent might go. But it's stayed up. So, you know, well done, little tent. And it'll only take a minute to take down because it's not exactly the most stable structure. And I think all the knots I made were made with kind of looping knots and things that could be untied, having learned from previous experience that I don't enjoy spending ages untying knots. So where I've changed my mind about where things should have a bit of grey, I'm having to spend a little bit more time covering over the pencil mark because it's watercolor pencil. But other than that, the watercolor pencil was actually really nice to use. And some of that underneath was that more blue. Gets more cyany and then it gets darker. Mr. Dillon's back. That's what they spend most of the day doing, those birds, eating. I think they have to eat something like, well, I don't know about pigeons specifically, but I know the sparrows have to eat something like 3 times their body weight. I want a warmer green in there as well, so more black and more yellow will get it for me. Trying not to shake you when I'm doing that thing. The tent flapping scared the life out of him when he went off. We're nearly there. Starting to get a bit cold. A cup of tea now when I go in would be quite nice. But I don't have far to go to get to it, so that's the one advantage of doing plein air so close to home. But there's so much to draw and paint in the garden. You actually would never run out. I only go out for the adventure, really. So, right. Okay, so as I say, I'm not going to go into loads of detail. I'm looking for seeing tones and colour better. And I think I got something going there that's nice. I could strengthen up bits in the drawing and everything, but I don't care to do that because this was the thing I wanted to capture. And I'm just finishing up the last bit of foliage because I don't want to leave gaps because the whole thing doesn't make sense visually until you finish it and try and get rid of some of your white bits. And you see some artists on social media that start a painting over here somewhere and work their way across, leaving all the white and just finishing it completely here and then moving across. I don't know how they do that. I mean, it looks great on videos and everything, but how the heck do you do that? How do you judge tones and everything if you're not working back and forth across the thing? Must be so difficult to achieve it. Just such a challenge, you know. Let me get a bit more white in. And fill in the rest of my gaps. And I think when I go in and have a cup of tea, I think it's chocolate, probably going to be chocolate time of day as well. So some tea and some dark chocolate would be just the thing after a little bit of sketching. And I'm going to just put in that holly tree just because it's such a lovely bluey. And then we'll leave the birds in peace, huh? What do you think, Fergie? You think that's a good idea? So I hope you enjoyed coming out into the garden. It's a change. I don't know why I have this thing going across here. Yeah, so if you like sculpture, keep an eye on the other channel. Unless you don't want to wade through me doing other projects that aren't strictly art things as well. So, okay, so I'm kind of happy with that. The areas that are black aren't as black as they could be, probably. But I don't want to get too finicky. You see how black that is now, sitting on top of the gouache. But that's kind of a feature of the gouache that it tends to kind of sink a little bit. So it's something I'm kind of aware of all the time when I'm working. It has a few little built-in features that can be awkward features unless you are expecting them. So, like, you can get it, but you just have to wait for the thing to be so dry. And I don't like when I'm doing sketches having to work back in too much because you don't have the time normally to be doing too much floating around, you see, because of weather, and you're only human, you get cold. But you see the difference when you get the range going. I'm spending a minute doing it because this is what I said, that I wanted to get my range of tones. So I'm having to go a lot thicker, you see, with the gouache to actually get any joy out of that. But I'd have to, if I wanted to do a blendy job then with the brown, I'd have to spend a lot more time on blending and all that. Oh, I went into the wrong color there. Okay, so I like that actually. I think it's kind of a useful study. And definitely, when you have studies like this, you see, you can come back. If you decide they're interesting enough, you can come back and decide to do a painting. And then you just go back to the place and you do more studies, basically. And you're in business, aren't you? And when you're in your garden, yeah, you can go back whenever you want. You mightn't get exactly the same lighting, even in your own garden. But you can go back and if you've missed out a piece of information, that'll be typically when I go back, will be typically if I've missed out on getting a bit of info that I want, I go back and say, well, what does that thing look like? What does this thing look like? And get the thing I want, and then back in and do a paint. I'm at the can't stop messing stage now. I need to stop it. I don't want to lose the freshness of it either, you see. All right. So let's have a final look at the real trees and see if I captured any of the spirit of tree-ishness. And then we'll say goodbye to the birds, and I'll say goodbye to you, and wish you a very happy weekend, whatever you're up to. So here's the sketchbook page, and I'm gonna actually. Oh, and here's the rain. It's getting a bit heavier. Where did I? Oh, this is it. I dropped my pencil just in time to finish because things are getting noisy out here. Somebody's decided they'd like to do some building work. Um, my pencil rolled away somewhere. I'll have to do a scan of the grass afterwards. And is it on my lap? No. This is, oh, and my leg is dead. My right foot is just so dead right now. Ow. Coming back to life. Ow. Yeah, well, I find a pencil to sign this in. And then I'll go looking for my other pencil. So what have we got? The 5th, is it? I use one of my Bics. I like these. Back garden. 5th April 24. And that was fun. So that's the sketch. And there's the bush. I was going to do two things today, but I'm always too ambitious. I was going to do the tree as well, but I got so interested in the bush that was interesting enough, and I would definitely come back and draw that again. Uh, there could be a painting in that you have to think about like your composition and everything, but I have actually done a painting of that end of the garden before. It looked completely different then, but I did a big, a very wide painting of it, and it was really cool. Actually, it was when I put in my vegetable beds first, and I was standing over there on facing it, and you could see all the vegetable beds in a row. You could see all the chicken wire fence, and that bush wasn't very tall at the time, and it was a nice painting, and I still look at it and smile because it was a nice memory as well. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining me. Have a great weekend, and whether you're um, in or out over the weekend. Uh, have a great time, whatever you do. Bye.